Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The sacrifice of the Anzacs has been honoured by thousands at dawn services across the state. The memory of those who never came home and the acknowledgement of those who did saw crowds gather as the sun rose over Tasmania.
As light creeps into the morning sky, a lone bugle calls out. In Hobart, thousands gathered at the foot of the cenotaph.
Hello, Paddy! Quick! Arch!
In Launceston, a red glow set the sombre mood as Tasmanians honoured those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
To give us the freedoms and the way of life that we currently enjoy.
During a moment of solemn reflection, you could have heard a pin drop in Royal Park. The next generation not only at the front of the crowd, but also delivering an Anzac Day message of their own.
While not fighting on the front line, Australian war nurses have never been far from it. Their service is often eclipsed by stories of bravery in battle.
There were prayers for peace and stories of Tasmania's bravest. Some wore medals, others found old photos to place among the wreaths.
My dad, Ernest Henry Wyatt, served in the Second World War at Papua New Guinea.
Many were just there with an overwhelming sense of gratitude.
It's just a tremendous thing that they've done. So, you know, the little you can come down here and remember it and join with people.
It's all about respect and memories.
A feeling shared by veterans.
A day to remember all the friends that I've served with, those that made it and those that didn't, and the people that went before us.
On the 104th anniversary of Anzac Day, the spirit continues to endure.
And I would say that we certainly had more people here this year than last year. And I believe that that will continue to be that way.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Following the dawn commemorations, parades and services embodying the Anzac spirit took place throughout the state. Thousands gathered to honour Tasmanians serving in the armed forces while remembering those who have lost their lives.
From the thunder in the sky to the marching bands on the ground, the Hobart community proudly waves our national flag, paying respect to servicemen and women while keeping the spirit of fallen loved ones alive.
I'm representing John, and I'm wearing his father's medals as well. He was at Gallipoli, very emotional. Very proud of them.
Military vehicles leading the momentous parade along the highway and up to the cenotaph, the area filling with the sights and sounds of the Anzac tradition.
Yeah, I like seeing the parade and all the people playing the instruments and hearing the music.
Well, we come every year as a family. We've been coming since he was a baby, so just to remember those and what they've done for our country.
The state's leaders laying wreaths on the memorial alongside community members and military personnel as the gentle Austrian waltz Edelweiss plays. Emotions rippling through the crowd as they brace the wind and pause to reflect. This traditional mark of respect also taken in Campbelltown as the lingering notes of the bugle ring across the cenotaph. Following children carrying wooden plaques down Queen Street, displaying the names of local residents who fought and lost their lives.
I guess it's an opportunity to remember those that have fallen before us and to, as a lesson, I guess, to try and move forward in peace.
These parades prove to be a crowd favourite every year, allowing community members to get together to honour those who have served and those serving today.
I've
I've not fought in any war, I've never been in the army or anything like that, but I think it doesn't do us any harm to come out and just honour those who have.
Other services taking place in the northwest, with thousands gathering on the Devonport foreshore. Community groups march down Victoria Parade alongside those who have served in wars from around the globe. And in Evandale, service personnel leading the community parade, guided by a military car, pausing for a minute's silence at the adorned cenotaph to remember those who have served our country. A statewide commemoration of our armed forces, past and present. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmanian News.
Now to the day's other news, and the University of Tasmania says the development application to build 2 new campuses at Inveresk and West Park is on track to be submitted in June. Federal funding for the $300 million project was secured at the last election. The university is trying to maximise local labour used during the construction phase.
I think building in Tasmania is loaded up because we're having such a large amount of large projects going around the state. So we just have to get in our queue and hopefully be able to get the right labour at the right time.
The university expects the first sod to be turned in around 18 months, with the transformation complete by 2022. In an effort to pass on the Anzac story to the next generation, children were given the chance to learn more about the history and significance of today at the Anzac Day in the Park event at Lenna Valley. The local RSL sub-branch organised for children who planted a poppy to receive a crocheted equivalent from an older member.
Here for them to read with their kids. They're actually writing messages in the book for us to say thank you to the old soldiers. It's not done on screens or in front of television. It's just fantastic.
The event is now in its 2nd year. British and Australian soldiers share a long history of fighting side by side. Those historical ties and the camaraderie between the two nations continued to build at a recent training camp.
They fought side by side in wars stretching back more than a century, and today the ties between Australian and British soldiers continue to be reinforced. A recent exercise at Puckapunyal Military Training Ground in central Victoria served to strengthen a time-honoured bond.
The general army attitude, it's all there, the banter is there. The guys like to have a bit of competition all the time.
We've always got the same tales to tell, just usually different ends of the world.
30 soldiers travelled from the UK to Australia especially for this training camp.
So we're learning from each other, they're learning from us, but it's a good way to have a bond between 2 units that have shared battle honours throughout over 100 years.
The ground stretches for kilometres. Here you can see just how large the area is. It was established in 1939 and is still used extensively for a range of exercises, including the recent one involving Battle Group Jacker. It saw more than 500 reservists from the 9th and 4th Brigade join those from the 3rd Battalion and the Royal Anglian Regiment.
You've got to work as a team to have an outcome. So as a combat team, it's about 100 soldiers working together to achieve an effect. It's not a bunch of individuals.
They're preparing for Talisman Sabre, a major event in Queensland involving 30,000 people. It's reservists training, but the resources used are the real deal, mimicking genuine scenarios.
It takes a significant amount of teamwork, and to move around and fight the enemy in this sort of terrain takes courage. They need the initiative to win and a respect for the enemy.
These Bushmasters, or protected mobility vehicles, are used during training exercises such as the one being undertaken here at Puckapunyal. They're also used for overseas deployment, to manage battlegrounds and for commander control.
We used as some of the main vehicles in Afghanistan and also in Iraq.
But while technology has changed significantly, the basics haven't. Around Anzac Day, soldiers reflect on the sacrifices and efforts of past personnel and those still fighting.
Pretty much every generation in my family has served in some regard. Like I said, we've pretty much had one of us in a conflict the whole way back.
Many here have family ties, motivating them even further.
I've got a great-grandfather who was at Gallipoli, I know that, and various other relatives, including my grandfather.
Including these UK twins, with both parents involved in the armed forces.
Sort of seeing my dad go away on tours and operations sort of influenced us. So as soon as we were pretty much 17 and a half, 18, we joined up.
But it's certainly something that I like to look back on. You know, I can give my grandfather a call and tell him about something I did, and he can completely sympathise, because at the end of the day, soldiering never really changes.
Generations on, and those who fought for their country are respected and remembered. Louise Hedges, 7 Tasmania News.
The woman you're about to meet has multiple sclerosis and is classed as legally blind. But despite these challenges, Eve Clark has just ticked off Tassie's gruelling overland track, and it was a true team effort which helped get her there.
In 2015, Eve Clark's life changed forever. The 39-year-old was diagnosed with MS and shortly after an eye condition which left her world in darkness.
I just shut down to start with, and just to not be able to see the world anymore was just overwhelming. I think you go into some depression.
Fast forward 4 years and the mother of 2 has just conquered Tassie's 65-kilometre overland track.
Just overwhelmed to be finally finished. I'd fallen over that many times.
The team who helped her every step of the way couldn't be prouder, making the gruelling journey in just 6 days.
It's just to see that happiness at the start, at the middle and at the finish.
Was she tougher than you at times out there?
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't think, we could complain after seeing what Mum was doing, so yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, a lot of talking going on with each step, over rocks, over boulders, over roots. And
you couldn't afford to laugh too much because she'd go weaker then, so we had to tell her to stop laughing.
And through the long days and laughter, Eve achieved what she set out to.
It's very fresh up here, very steep climb.
How's it been going so far?
And we're nearly at Marion's Lookout.
Where's that?
Right, I think.
For the family of 6, the journey, with all its ups and downs, will be one they never forget.
Memories for a lifetime?
Forever.
And Eve's advice for others doing it tough:
Never think anything's too hard. Just give it a go, and you can have people around you to help you achieve your goals. Just keep trying.
Jessie Gilmore, 7 Tasmania News.
If you haven't been to Cradle Mountain lately, now might be the time to go. Fagus season is well and truly underway, with nature putting on a spectacular show of colour.
At Cradle Mountain, the mist rolls in, and so do the tourists.
Wonderful, it's beautiful, breathtaking.
It's been really nice, enjoying sort of the weather and getting a bit of a hike in.
More than a few are picking their way around Dove Lake this week, as Tasmania's famous fagus puts on a show.
The fagus is a deciduous beech. It's endemic to Tasmania, so it's only found in Tasmania. So the green in the leaves will start to fade, and then it'll turn a gold to red sort of colour.
Anzac Day is typically the best time to take in the change of scenery, but with colder weather taking hold, the advice is to prepare properly for any hike.
We saw a lot of the fagus trees, up towards the summit, with beautiful blue skies in the morning. Yeah, it was really enjoyable.
But if you haven't had a chance to get here yet, don't worry, you've still got a week and a half to see Cradle Mountain at its best. And if Cradle Mountain is out of your way, Mount Field is also a hotspot for the natural phenomenon. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Glenorchy remains unbeaten in the TSL after holding off a gutsy Tigers outfit in the side's traditional Anzac Day clash at KG5. Kingborough showed heart to keep themselves in it for most of the match, but the Pies refused to leave the home crowd disappointed, booting away late in the contest.
A united showing of solidarity from both clubs as the KG5 crowd fell silent to pay their respects. That turned to fierce rivalry once the opening siren sounded, and it was Kingborough who drew first blood as former Hawthorn recruit Kieran Lovell exerted himself on the match. Glenorchy goal magnet Aidan Grace responded in kind, and the stage was set for a hotly contested opening quarter, with Callan Daly crumbing one in the square to snatch the lead. Lockie Watt answering back for the visitors and narrowing the gap to less than a goal come quarter time. The Majors proving harder to come across in the second, with both sides applying heavy pressure around the contest. Riley Oakley, the only one able to find the middle of the sticks before the main break. Things picked up again in the third, with Daly slotting his second of the match before club stalwart Jay Bowden converted from a tight angle to make it a 3-goal difference on the scoreboard. In desperate need of a lift, Lovell stepped up to provide it, kicking true to keep Kingborough in the match before the Tigers' key recruit Mick Paul finally found some form in front of the sticks.
Looks very good.
One of the competition's standouts this season, Grace, was all but happy to curb the Tigers' momentum and shift things back in the home side's favour heading into the final quarter. Paul trying his best to muscle Kingborough back into the match, but it wasn't enough to dish Glenorchy its first loss of the season as Daly finished with 3 to see the Pies home by 22 points.
And in the NPL, South Hobart has emerged victorious after an epic 9-goal thriller against the Zebras at North Hobart Oval a short time ago. Earlier, Olympia secured top spot on the ladder with a cruisy win over Glenorchy.
A battle between second and third on the ladder. Both sides had something to prove, and it was Matt Sanders who made the first statement of the day to give Zebras the early lead. But it didn't take long for South to respond as Nick Morton sent one in low, with Alex Walter making sure of it to square things up. Ben Hamlet then going it alone to give his side the lead before Canadian import Iski Van Dorn made it a 2-goal buffer just moments before half-time. But the Zebras still had plenty left in the tank, putting 2 through in quick succession when things resumed to even it up at 3 apiece before Sanders scored his second of the match not long after to see Hobart snatch back the lead. It was South who had the last laugh, however, repaying the favour with 2 more of their own to come away with an impressive 5-4 win. Earlier, Glenorchy opened the account in spectacular fashion.
Oh, it's gone in! It's DJ Heggie, unmarked, in the 6-yard box.
Rowan Heggie's brilliantly timed bicycle kick, one of the best goals likely to be seen this NPL season, but it only took another minute of play for Olympia to answer back through Joffrey Nkoso.
Nkoso now into Nkoso! An immediate reply from the Warriors!
Jack Ryan trickling one through the Knights keeper to take the lead before the Warriors cemented top spot on the NPL ladder as Nkoso booted through his second of the day to seal the 3-1 win.
Good evening. Well, the northwesterlies strengthened over the state today ahead of an oncoming cold front. Hobart and Burnie 19 degrees, Launceston and Devonport 18 degrees, but not a lot of inclement weather for all the marches today as we commemorated all those that have served our country, and particularly those that were family members. 20 the high at friendly beaches today, along with Maria Island, Flinders Island, St Helens, Grove and Ouse 18, Lowerhead 17, King Island and Smithton 16, Strawn 15 degrees. Now here's the cloud today, bringing 10 millimetres of rain to Mount Reid after good falls last night, particularly over the west, and plenty more there this afternoon. A cold front is just about set to cross Tasmania, attached to a deep low pressure system. This will be followed by an unstable cold air mass. More cloud is over eastern Queensland with an onshore flow. That's responsible for the coastal cloud over Queensland as well. Tomorrow a high moves over the Bight, directing a southwesterly airstream our way. 2 large surface troughs sit over the mainland. The southwesterlies will average 30 to 35 knots, but will reach 45 knots over southern waters in the morning. A good day to be off the water with swells at 7 metres in the northwest and to 8 metres in western and southern waters. A gale warning has been issued for all Tasmanian coastal waters, a strong wind warning for the Derwent Estuary, a small craft wind alert for the lakes. Also a warning to sheep graziers for all districts, a bushwalkers alert for the western and central plateau. So for tomorrow, a showery day with winds as well for Hobart, 13 the top, 11 only for Huonville and 13 the high for Campania. Same sort of forecast. Early shower for Launceston, 14 the maximum, 13 for Devonport, a windy day with a shower. Similar for Georgetown with 15 the high. Burnie, showers and wind, 11 degrees, 12 for Strawn and 13 for Wynyard. And for St Helens tomorrow, an early shower or 2, a windy afternoon and 15 degrees, 14 for Swansea. Port Arthur, showers and very, very windy tomorrow as well. On Saturday, showers over the west, south and Bass Strait Islands, but fine elsewhere. A cloudy day on Sunday with showers over the west and south again. Another shower over the west on Monday, partly cloudy with northwesterly winds for the remainder. A sunny, warm 29 in Perth tomorrow. A morning shower for Adelaide and Melbourne. Sunny in Sydney and Brisbane, both reaching 27 degrees. 16 right now in Hobart and partly cloudy. Bit of cloud over Launceston, 14 at the moment and 14 now in Devonport. That's the weather, Jo, for what of course is a very important day.
It certainly is. Thank you very much for that, Murph. And that's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening and we'll join you again a little later. Bye for now.